This is the BYD eMAX 7, the country's first full electric MPV, and you're watching CarGuide Philippines. So BYD has invited us for a sneak peek of the BYD eMAX 7. There are actually two variants, a standard variant and the one you see right here, the Superior Captain. So the two variants have two different numbers in terms of performance. The standard variant has 163 PS, while this variant, the Superior Captain, has 204 PS of power. But don't you worry, when it comes to torque, both have 310 Newton meters of torque, which is almost double the competition as far as MPVs are concerned. And with that being said, the ranges are also different. The standard variant has 420 kilometers worth of range for a full charge, while this variant has 530 kilometers estimate with a full charge. This being a full electric vehicle, it has inherent advantages because of its structure. One of them being, since the BYD Blade battery is down below, the center of gravity of this vehicle is also low. And because this doesn't have an internal combustion engine, this vehicle is a lot more quiet and a lot less vibration going on. And the biggest difference when you compare this to other MPVs is that when most other MPVs use a torsion beam for the rear suspension, this one uses a multi-link suspension system at the rear, which means that it has less vibrations, more grip, better handling, and therefore a better overall ride quality. As for styling, you can see that BYD is attempting a more premium look versus like the other MPVs that are more masculine, they're more macho. This one's a sleeker look. And if you look closely, especially if you're familiar with the BYD lineup, you can see it's getting design cues from the BYD Tang and Han, which is more on the premium segment of BYD. And it starts off with the Dragon Face 3.0. You can see it's slick, it's elegant, and over here you can see it has LED headlights, and at the back it has LED taillights. Now that we have a good rundown of the BYD eMAX 7 when it comes to the exterior, let's go inside the car. Now we're inside the BYD eMAX 7, and just like in old car guide fashion, let's go through the interior from left to right. Unlike most of the BYDs that we've been driving, they have the little screen that's pushed out, like a infotainment system. The gauge cluster on the BYD eMAX 7 is the more traditional, where you have two analog dials over here in the side, and at the center we have a 5-inch LCD multi-information display. I like that there's not a flood of menus, so it's not confusing. You just have the essentials. That's basically it. And you have the traditional analog dials that has speed, and since this is an EV, you have like a meter over here that tells you if you're charging or if you're boosting with the electric motor. So it's this simple execution that makes it feel right at home, especially for MPV buyers. It doesn't feel too high-tech. And then just like every BYD that I've tested so far, it has this rotating 12.8-inch screen. If you're more of a vertical kind of a user when it comes to infotainment, there you have it. But me, I'm more classical, so I want it in a horizontal configuration. But whichever you pick, what's nice about this is wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. It makes full sense to use the wireless charger over here. I know the name sounds very generic, but in terms of design execution, I think it's fantastic. So if you're wondering why this variant is called Superior Captain, I think this makes it pretty obvious and blatant. But in any case, I have to say the rear seats of this car, it's really comfy. For its size, I get a good amount of headroom, and I'm a 6-foot guy. I do appreciate the panoramic moonroof, so you cannot move the glass, but you can move the cover. The conveniences, you have a map holder over here, and you have pockets here for cell phones, which is appropriate because they're actually USB ports over here. One Type A and one Type C. And then you have aircon controls here behind the center console. So yeah, in terms of conveniences, it's very typical of an MPV. Now we're going to do an actual test, which is, will I fit on the third row? With a little work, I'm able to reach the third row. Okay, but in fairness, leg room, I think, can you see it from there? Yeah, you can see it from there. You have around maybe 2.5 inches of legroom, but I'm a tall guy with long legs, so that is a feat of its own. When it comes to headroom though, I'll give it props as long as I raise this headrest over here. Yeah, it's actually livable. I think I can survive maybe a 3-hour ride here. And that's saying a lot. Happy to report that the third row is actually livable. It is not a second thought or like trying to just call itself a 7-seater. I think, well, in this case, it's more of a 6-seater because of the captain's chair. But this being a 6-seater, definitely. With the BYD eMAX 7 being an MPV, we have to talk about the trunk space. So let's check it out. In terms of space, they say that it's 180 liters worth of space. But versus the competition, it seems to be a little tighter. But the fact that you can put a big case like this and have all the seats up, I think that's a feat of its own. More than just sheer space, I actually like the execution of the BYD eMAX 7. Because the other brands, they just have like a cord over here, like a nylon cord as you see here. But this one, it's actually magnetic. Here, you can see it's actually magnetic. And I think that's a nice premium touch to the whole thing. And I like this plastic loop over here. It makes things so much easier. So if I want to put the seat down, all I have to do is pull the cord and then push it down. And then what I also like is it ends up being a flat space over here. So now with the seats down, you actually have 580 liters worth of cargo space. And that is a lot in this segment. And if you get the standard version, you can actually make the bench passengers fold flat and you'll get a whopping 980 liters of cargo space. And that is a quick rundown of the preview of the BYD eMAX 7. If you want to see it for yourself or even test drive it, you can check MIAS on April 10 to 13, 2025. And if you missed that, don't worry, because you'll be able to see this for yourself at every BYD dealership nearest you. And for more information, you can check out the BYD website and you can check out CarGuide.PH for more information.